we want them to know that they're an important part of our community. So several years ago, we chose to be radically inclusive and to adopt a multi-generational worship where our services include all family members. So a special welcome to the children and the youth of all ages. There's a few announcements in your order of service. You can take any of them with you that you like for reminders later this week or to share with others. I was looking this morning at the A-Team insert, which is this one right here. This is an effort led by Diane Jones. Diane, are you here today? Diane's doing wonderful work along with other volunteers to try to get Westside out there in the community. So this flyer, take this with you, and on the back side you have all of the community events that are going to be coming where you can sign up, you can be on their email distribution, and you can attend either as a volunteer or you can just come to the event. I'm real excited to see that. I feel like we need more of this. We need more of the community to know about Westside. I think we've got an amazing thing going here, and why not share it? So for those of us that are joining online, and thanks again for the tech team to help get the Facebook Live going, awesome. If you're not already on our mailing list, also if you're just visiting for the first time today, please sign up by clicking the link at the bottom of our westsideu.org website. And for those of you that are here in person with us, we ask that you please silence any devices, phones, tablets, whatnot. This morning's reflection, Cultivating the Inward Sea, will be given by Lex Vriend. Lex is currently pursuing a master's in divinity at Bright Divinity School, and I love this part, for the joy of it. Now, I invite you to take a deep breath, and from wherever you are, settle into this sacred space that we create, and let us worship together as we listen to this morning's prelude, Danny Boy, by Frederick Weatherly, performed by Dr. Yuki Kumamoto with Carol Kappa on flute. That was amazing. Our opening words today are Today by Billy Collins. If there ever were a spring day so perfect, so uplifted by a warm, intermittent breeze, that it made you want to throw open all the windows in the house and unlatch the door to the canary cage. Indeed, to rip the little door from its jamb. Well, today is that kind of day. As do many Unitarian Universalist congregations, we begin our time together today with the lighting of a chalice. I invite Doug Clayton to come forward and light our chalice this morning. The chalice is a symbol of our Unitarian Universalist faith and represents the Unitarian Universalist Association, or UUA. The flaming chalice symbolizes the heritage of our past, the warmth of community, and the light of hope within this church today.
A Chalice of Joy by Reverend Julia Corbett Haymeyer. We light this chalice in celebration of joy, the flickering flame of a candle, a flame that shimmers, that dances, that cheers, the flame that heartens and encourages us in hard times, the welcoming flame of this community. Our opening hymn is 1064, Blue Boat Home, in your teal hymnal. Please stand if you are able and so moved and join our song leader, Linda Ice.
Still my drive.
Please remain standing and join me in our affirmation. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest of truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to work for justice through action, to serve others in community, to the end that all souls shall grow into harmony with creation. Thus do we covenant with one another. Please be seated. I wish we could sing that song every week. That is just an amazing song. Please come forward if you are young at heart or would like to have a close-up view of our Time for All Ages, presented by our cosmic director of radical exploration, our own Nikki Kennedy. Afterwards, we're going to sing the children back to their seats with the 7 principles, which is in the back of your gray hymnal.
Good morning. Good cosmic morning, I hear. Thank you, Darren. I am so excited to see you guys today. In fact, I brought something, I don't know, maybe a little wild. What is it? That's a great question. Justin, I'm going to shake this, and I'm going to ask you to tell me what you think is in it. What do you think's in it, Justin? Light bricks, maybe. What? Rocks. It could be rocks. I've had rocks before. Plastic eggs. I mean, allegedly, it's going to be Easter. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. But I brought a couple of things in here, and I'm going to pull out this first thing, and I'm going to ask for some help, for some trusty assistance. Can you all please come help me? We did prearrange this. So, oops, I called you up too early. Can you have a seat? I forgot to ask you a question. No, you can sit next to me. Sorry. So, I want you guys to think about the last 30 years. And I want you to think about things that have changed in the last 30 years. What are some things you think have changed, Amelia?
We don't know. We haven't been.
Oh, you weren't born 30 years ago. Okay. Fair. But what about since you've been born? Same. But are there some things that have changed since you've been born? Yes, Mia. You brought light and joy to your family. Awesome. And humility, yes, awesome. Tiffany, I don't know where you are, but Tiffany, that's for you. Yes. What are some other things, Amelia? You brought hamsters? Okay. What about like hairdos? Yes. Finley. Media, slightly. Media has slightly changed in 30 years. That is a fact. Yes, Chloe. Plague and pestilence. Okay. Thank you, Chloe. Thank you, Chloe. Okay, Alice, we're coming for you. You don't know. What about clothes styles? Your clothes styles have changed in the last few years, right? So definitely in the last 30 years. Yes, Justin. Netflix, that's true. Okay, cool. So those are all things that have changed in the 30 years. Now, it's not an exhaustive list, obviously. But you're going to help me make a timeline of sorts today as I knock everything over. You're going to help me make a timeline. Are you guys ready? Okay. Will you take this in, Finley, and start your walking? So as we make a timeline slowly, let's talk about some things that we value at Westside, right? Some things that we value at Westside. What are some things we value here at Westside? Community, love, music, acceptance. Keep going, Finn. Justice, children, diversity, honesty, inclusion, that we have a building. Yeah, that's a big deal. We didn't have this building 30 years ago. So if Finley were to keep going, we would have an unlimited timeline, right? This is the timeline that we've seen. We know what's happened, right? But we don't know what the future holds. That part of the timeline remains yet to be seen. And you guys, all ages, get to help us tell the story. Now, Finley, are you okay to walk back and not trip? Can you do that? Okay, I'm going to ask Alice and Chloe to help you wind up, okay? You can just very carefully, don't let anybody trip. So here's the other thing. I have a couple more things in my toolbox. And this is something that Westside has valued since day one. It's something that we have each week. What do you think it might be? Amelia? Love, yes. Justin? Shiny gem. Oh, shiny gems, yes. So I was thinking something a little more maybe tangible than love. Something that we get to do. Right now, we do a lot of it in the fellowship hall, and it's coffee mugs. Coffee mugs. So, yeah, it could be hot chocolate, it could be hot tea. But I share this because this place, this building, this community, right now our address is 901 Page. That is not who we are, that is where we are located. This community values the space that we get to come together and be silly and ask big questions, a place where it's not really about the coffee as much as it is the conversations that we get to have around these coffee mugs, that we get to have in classes, that we get to have in the fellowship hall, that we get to have in the parking lots. And I hope that whatever your week looks like, every time you come in this building, you know there's a mug waiting for you to offer you a cup of warmth, a place to feel loved, and a place to ask big questions in a community that welcomes all. And we want you to help us to do that too. Thank you for being here. Thank you for celebrating. And I wish you guys a wonderful week.
Good morning. I'm Debbie Rake, one of the pastoral care team members. In our community here at Westside, we make time each week to share pieces of our lives with one another. We do this because each person in this community has value. Members of the team can be identified wearing a pastoral care team badge. Please submit your joys and concerns to the team by completing one of these. I don't have any, they didn't come in today. An orange form that are out by the welcome desk, or by emailing us at pastoralcare@westsideu.org, or contact any member of the team. The other current members of our team are Carol Kappa, John Fisher, Barbara Crotty, and Brenda and Jane Hardwick. Thank you. So raise your hands if you're on the team. Good. Okay. So we know who you are. We share our concerns with one another today, knowing that sorrows come into each person's life, knowing that together we offer comfort. As I read your concern, would you please stand or raise your hand so all can know who you are? And this one is from Angie Goins by way of Charm Rogers. Angie, thank you. Okay. Her mother would really love to get cards in the mail. She's had some health problems, and she's pretty much having to stay put. So see Angie for more information about where to send it if you can do that. Thank you. Okay. We also share our joys with one another, knowing, too, that joy comes into all our lives, knowing that together our voices can rise in a chorus of celebration. And again, if I call your name, please stand or raise your hand. First of all, Mary Boyce brought in all that food that you saw when you first came in the door. There's mostly baked goods, and it was from another food pantry that had more than they could use. So what she's asking is anyone who could use anything that's out there, please take it home so that it doesn't get wasted. And it's lovely to be able to share all that, and I'm very thankful to Mary. Okay, finally, there's a joy from me, and I bet from many of you. I went to a rally on Saturday. I was in Tucson visiting my brother, and I asked him when was the last time he went to a rally, and he just kind of looked at me like, a long time ago. But it was a wonderful experience. It was uplifting. We saw so many homemade signs for so many personal reasons of outrage. But although everybody there was very angry, none of them were angry at each other. It was very friendly. It was very supportive. It was just a great experience. Okay. We make space each week for musical centering, knowing the life and experience of every person matters, and together our lights shine brighter. As we hold all the joys and concerns among us, both those spoken and unspoken, let us sing together in the Teal hymnal, number 1002, Comfort Me.
Good morning. My name is Leo Ty Bennett. I'm glad they wrote that down. I may have forgotten. I will be leading our meditation this morning. I now invite you to relax your mind and body and join in a time of meditation. Today, we will begin with a poem titled, Joy is Hard by Reverend Joe Cherry. Joy is hard. Joy requires us to feel safe enough, to be safe enough, to open to vulnerability. To feel joy, you must be brave. Joy walks into a room after the space has been cleared of shame, cleared of doubt, cleared of self-recrimination. Joy is hard. Joy is hard, and joy is worth the hard work of preparation. Preparing oneself and setting down all the defenses and all the shoulds and could'ves, all the should not haves and might haves. Joy is worth the work. You are worth the work. You can start small. The simple pleasure of your favorite tea, the grand freedom of a full belly laugh. Invite joy to be your companion. May we be good company to one another, and in our questions and our journey. May it be so, blessed be, and amen.
Thank you, Leotai. Here at Westside, we practice our UU faith in a variety of ways. One of those ways is by giving 100% of the gifts of our weekly collection plate, unless otherwise designated, into supporting organizations who carry out our transcendent values of compassion, justice, and equality. Westside's plate offering for April is the Texas UU Justice Ministry, or TXUUJM, our state action network. Westside's been a member of the congregation since 2012. The ministry educates and organizes Texas UUs to advocate effectively for UU principles and values in public policy and the public square. Recently, TXUUJM organized the convening of hundreds of Texas UUs at our state capitol in Austin to let our legislators know we are here and we want them to pass laws and policies that help Texans, not harm them. Westside had 20 attendees, both youth and adults, and I'm proud to count myself among them, and I know some of you here today were as well. Would you mind just raising your hands, folks that went down? Come on, Mary, I see you back there. Because of Texas UU ministry, UU youth had their own caucuses, learning the machinations of government and meeting with legislators themselves. The UU youth statement that I was fortunate enough to hear on the rotunda in the Capitol from them reflects the UU work, energy, and spirit that moved in Austin on March the 17th, 2025. And I'm going to read that for you. This is their presentation. As Unitarian Universalist youth, we want to be represented by legislators who promote our crucial values and beliefs. We believe that diversity, equity, and inclusion needs to be reinstated and expanded. Every person 18 or over needs to have the right to easy access voting. What a concept from people who themselves aren't old enough Places of sanctuary, like churches and schools, need to be reestablished for safety. Conversion therapy is dangerous to physical and mental health and needs to be dissolved. People should also have the right to easy access solutions. They should have the right to easy access abortions and gender-affirming care. And trans people are important and cannot be erased from the present of our country's history. I'm sorry, from the present or from our country's history. Trust me, they said it a lot better than I just did. As UU youth, we will keep fighting for our values to build the Texas we deserve. And that was her statement. Texas UU Justice Ministry also offers weekly action hours and supports congregational justice work. To make all this happen, well, it needs the support of member organizations. With your contribution today, Westside and other Texas UUs can work to bend Texas toward justice. A reminder, if you're giving toward your stewardship pledge, please use the envelopes at the bottom of the basket as it's passed. Now, let us enjoy this musical offering, Take Me Home, Country Roads, by John Denver, performed by Yuki. That was like in double time or something. That was, I'm having trouble keeping my foot on it. Thank you, Yuki. And thank you all for your putting into practice the spiritual value and the virtue of generosity. You know, our giving connects us to the wider web of the community. And we also thank you for keeping up with your stewardship commitment, current, and keeping it current to keep our congregation's important work going. So now I get to talk a little bit about my new friend, Lex. Lex Vriend is pronouns he, they, is a lover of trees, social justice, deep questions, fossil hunting, dance rituals, mushrooms, poetry, emotional intimacy, epistemic humility, and humans who revel in their weirdness. I've been waiting all week. Oh, so good. A Unitarian Universalist since undergrad, Lex has had a background in middle school English education in Detroit Public Schools through Teach for America and international development in Matayini Village, KwaZulu-Natal, South Africa, with the Peace Corps. Lex integrates psychological models with frameworks of social justice, cultural difference, ecological wholeness, and integrative mysticism. It just blows my mind. Can't wait to hear all of what Lex has to tell us. And with all that, Lex also spends his spare time listening to audiobooks while working on the most colorful jigsaw puzzles he can find. I now invite Lex Vriend to the pulpit.
Good morning. It's so good to be here. It has been so long since I've gotten to be in a UU church, and I'm just delighted. So thank you. I'd like to frame the reflection today by invoking Howard Thurman, who I know is kind of like a go-to in UU spaces. But for those of us who have not yet had the joy of meeting Thurman, he was a renowned theologian, mystic, and a black minister who worked to racially integrate churches at the peak of segregation. He was also one of the key architects of the black social gospel, so many of the ideas attributed to Martin Luther King Jr. were actually developed originally by Thurman. So one of the aspects that I have appreciated most about Thurman's work is his passion for facilitating encounters with the self as a means of helping those with their backs against the wall to access inner resources for living with dignity and vibrancy, even in the face of oppression and suffering. So I think that's relevant. I'm going to allow Thurman to kind of invite us inwards. I'm going to ask if it feels good to you to just kind of take a couple of breaths. Maybe close the eyes. Maybe just kind of center in. Inward sea. There is in every person an inward sea. And in that sea, there is an island. And in that island, on that island, there is an altar. And standing guard before that altar is the angel with the flaming sword. Nothing can get by that angel to be placed on that altar unless it has the mark of your inner authority. Nothing passes the angel with the flaming sword to be placed on your altar unless it be a part of the fluid area of your consent. This is your crucial link with the eternal. What has been placed on your altar? How did it get there? Does it still belong? Is there anything else you would like to add? So today, I thought for this reflection that I would talk about the inward sea, as Howard Thurman would call it. There are other words we could use: interiority, the inner landscape, the self, the psyche, the soul. And in order to do that, I'd like to offer something perhaps a bit more nakedly honest than what I typically think of as like a sermon. A little bit of self-disclosure, as we would call it in therapy. I'm a licensed professional counselor. Because as a personal value of mine, and you could even say a sense of life purpose, more than anything else in our highly individualized, mobile, and atomized culture, I want my life to offer the humans I love, which I have decided includes all of you now, Invitations to a certain kind of intimacy that I think many of us are struggling to cultivate in this moment in our cultural history. Another way of saying this, I find that often the transparent sharing of one person's interior world is often one of the more direct routes to others experiencing their own interiority in a fresh way. So today I'd like to offer you all a taste of myself with a capital S as a site of exploring this inward sea in the hopes that it might facilitate your own exploration. This can be messy and problematic. There are questions to consider here. What does it mean to truly select what is placed on our inner altars when we are bombarded by covert and overt messages in the form of advertisements, in the form of conspiracy theories, political propaganda, religious indoctrination, centuries of white supremacist cultural inheritance, contradictory diet, medical, and psychological advice, and so many other kinds of social pressure and epistemic violence. And what do we believe the role of the internal sea even is in a world that seems at times to be in such dire need of pragmatic, concrete intervention? Is all this talk of interiority just a frivolous, navel-gazing waste for the quietists? What might we like to cultivate within our own interior space as we stare down the world just as it is right now? Pain, suffering, injustice included. I was raised and socialized as a woman in the middle class, in a middle class, mostly white church in the Evangelical Covenant. I was taught to believe that my purpose in life was to dutifully serve God and others. The white savior assumption of that evangelical culture was that my needs would always be reliably met and that the political order propping us up would never be threatened. I absorbed the assumption that my focus should not be on meeting my own needs, but on focusing on helping those people out there, which was framed as virtuous selflessness, but was in fact quite narcissistic. There was a profound kind of codependence to that posture, propping up our sense of self, our sense of dignity, our own sense of existential significance at the expense of framing marginalized people as objectified projects who we were ordained to save. The irony, of course, being that they were way more accustomed to dealing directly with the harsh realities of life than I ever was. Now, for a decade, I have worked to deconstruct that problematic, evangelistic, white saviorist mentality within myself. I raged against it as a teacher. I led discussions about it in grad school, but I still maintained several of the sneaky emotional assumptions of that mentality long after I had left Christianity. Even after years of deconstruction, I still tended to relate with the world as if it was all mine to save. An epic sense of self-importance and cosmic belonging soothed certain wounds from my religious trauma, but also reinforced them by preventing me from developing a separate sense of identity from others, an identity separate from compulsive helping, or a sense of my own boundaries and limitations and needs. And then, something extremely inconvenient happened. I realized I'm trans. And it felt like everything I knew, my whole world, my very sense of self, just kind of disintegrated. On one hand, this was profoundly positive. There was this wondrous sense of ecstatic self-revelation, of parts of me suddenly waking up and slamming into place as if they had always meant to be there, and how could I have ever seen it any other way? I felt things I did not know it was possible to feel, as though my interior landscape went from feeling two-dimensional to three-dimensional, and I don't mean that figuratively, I mean it as literally as you can imagine. Like, who knew there can be all this space in here? I was astounded. There's a kind of mysticism to exploring my sense of gender, where in coming to understand myself and the wild, Gender-related feelings I had previously been dissociated from, I was brought into intimate contact with my own inner landscape, which I believe is an access point to whatever it is that some of us call God and others of us call cosmos, consciousness, or being. That trusting my transness, whatever it is, facilitated inner aliveness. So on one hand, lovely. On the other hand, terrifying. I remember walking through public spaces as I started my physical transition and feeling alienated and endangered in ways I had never felt so viscerally. And all of a sudden, my relationship with the world was radically different. It was no longer safe for me to relate with others as if we automatically belonged to one another. No longer safe for me to assume friendliness on the part of the world I felt so connected to. A transformation unfolded, which had little to do with gender expression, and instead, it was this change in the shape, texture, and size of my sense of self. It was as if my being had shrunk down from being expansively identified with everyone around me to being much smaller, much more contained. I consciously let go of this shining sense of fused oneness with the world that I had come to rely on for comfort and spiritual meaning, the self-important illusion of heroism, and instead, for safety, I surrendered the world to itself. Allowed myself to experience it as much bigger, much less mine, much more hostile than before. I needed to acknowledge that transitioning meant moving to the alienated fringes of our cultural map and a real loss in social influence. And I needed to get honest with myself about what was and was not in my power to offer the world anymore. It was not my job to save the world. Much of the world did not want my saving. I finally had to focus much less arrogantly on saving myself. What a reversal of roles. What a liberating and humbling surrender to my own human vulnerability. What an invitation to grapple with the fact that nothing was actually ever guaranteed me in life, no matter how much I argued with the sky about it. This life is only ever what we make of it, and we very well may fail. Our piety will not save us from certain things, rail as we might against that awareness. Something interesting happened, though. As I slowly loosened my grip on my previous sense of epic relevance and cultural belonging, as I slowly made peace with the idea of a new life on the fringes of society, it was as if the shell of me thickened. At first, this was excruciating because it felt like being cut off into abject isolation, which at the time was one of my deepest fears. But then, as I rested in the center of that thickened shell, grieving and trying to muster courage, I started to notice what can happen when a person turns inward. Slowly, I began to feel as if there were an entire cosmos in me. And it was mine to explore, mine to influence, mine to birth into poetry. As if the inward sea was my vast playground and I get to set the rules, as if losing the approval of the established authorities allowed me to finally feel what it means to embrace and leverage my own inner authority, as Howard Thurman would say. And I believe, as Howard Thurman did, that embattled and marginalized people throughout history have found their own versions of that inward sea. It has been a well to draw from in the most painful of times. It has fueled resistance, creativity, solidarity, community, and transcendent, irrational joy in the face of immense suffering. Do not get me wrong, it is not to be romanticized, my friends. Don't take it for granted. Many of you already know it is gritty and grievous and full of birth pains. And yet, I remember those early days as I started to discover a kind of cosmic glee against the backdrop of the world, as if I had discovered some secret treasure that only those of us who really need it ever find. I remember walking around laughing to myself, wondering if others knew this existed. Who else knew we could be this powerful? Who else knew we could be this free within our own being to discover that we can actually choose what goes on our altars? It is so exquisitely worth the steep cost, and that is why I am so lucky to be trans. What a way to discover that well of strength and to realize that no one can ever take it. Can you feel what I'm saying? No matter what they do, there is a place in my soul that is inviolable. No matter what they do to us, they cannot reach me there. Beloved community, strangers who I love, we are in strange and unfolding times. Here we are. It is tempting to lose ourselves, to lose sight of each other, to flatten our inner worlds in favor of numbness. It is tempting to pull away from the pain we feel inside and settle into quiet, defeated despair. It is tempting to surrender our own inner knowing, to acquiesce to the perceptions and the preferences of others. It is tempting to give up on building emotionally satisfying community in a culture that is so good at isolating us. Right now, in this room, each of us has our own fears, our own hopes, traumas, griefs, joys, unmet needs, deep yearning callings, unanswered questions. I wish I had some magical plan for how we are going to fix things. I don't, and I believe that it would be a violation for me to prescribe for you how to meet this particular moment and or what to cultivate within your own inward sea as you relate to it. But what I have instead is a humble invitation and a promise. To whatever extent it is accessible to you at the moment, I invite you to declare yourself deeply worth being. And as you explore the vast, mysterious wonder of your own existence in the face of a challenging world, I invite you to know, or at least to consider, that the ocean you find there at your core is yours to harness. And as you cultivate whatever you choose to cultivate there, I invite you to imagine that just maybe the very thing you find that feels truest and most particular is the very thing that, when shared, opens the doorway to connection with others. And I promise, in a world full of suffering and uncertainty, I will hold space for you on my altar. Peace be with you.
That was good. I feel like if I went to like a art museum with my new friend Lex, he would talk to me about the beauty in a particular painting in great detail with words I could never come up with, and then look at me and I'd be like, Great. And I only did that so I wouldn't tear up here. So please rise as you are able and join together in singing our closing hymn today, number 108, My Life Flows On in Endless Song, in your gray hymnal. Please remain standing for our closing words. This joyful game by Reverend Scott Taylor. Kick the ball, dance in the rain, get lost on purpose, fly the kite, smell the flowers, pull out the paints. Let life take you by the hand, my friends. Lean back and let the wind blow through your hair. Let it mess up your hair. Open to the joy that's been waiting for you. Behold its delight. Don't you know that you've already won the prize? Now go out and share it. The chalice is now extinguished, but its light lives on in the minds, in the hearts, and souls of each of you. Carry that flame with you as you leave this place and share it with those you know, those you love, and most importantly, those you have yet to meet. Now please join me in our congregational closing. Go in peace, seeking justice. Go in peace, committed to equal rights and opportunities for all. Go in the peace that is created when, together, we build communities of true solidarity, deep compassion, and fierce, unrelenting love. Go in peace. May it be so. Blessed be